The haunting of Alas Roban. In the dense forests of central Java, Indonesia, lies the mysterious and haunted land of Alas Roban, a vast stretch of untamed wilderness that many locals fear to enter. The name Alas Roban itself has an ominous ring, for Alas means forest, and Roban refers to something broken, twisted, or ruined. Over the years, the area has earned a reputation for strange occurrences, disappearances, and unexplainable events that have unsettled even the bravest souls. It was during the rainy season that a group of 5 friends decided to test their courage and venture into the heart of Alas Roban. These young adventurers, Indra, Rina, Damer, Siska, and Ardi, were students from a nearby university, eager to explore the mysterious forest and uncover its secrets. They had heard countless stories from locals, but they dismissed them as mere superstitions, remnants of old folklore. None of them truly believed in the ghost stories that surrounded the area. Their journey began on a cold, misty morning. The dense fog clung to the trees like a shroud, obscuring their vision. The path was narrow, winding through the towering trees, their branches stretching high above, forming an eerie canopy. The forest seemed to pulse with life, yet there was a silence that was unsettling to quiet, as if the forest itself was holding its breath. As the group ventured deeper into the woods, they began to notice strange things. The air grew colder, and the once familiar sounds of the forest, chirping birds, rustling leaves, seemed to fade. A heavy stillness settled in, broken only by the crunch of leaves beneath their feet. Indra, the most skeptical of the group, tried to brush off the growing unease.
"It's just the wind,"
he said, trying to reassure his friends.
"Nothing to be afraid of."
But as the hours passed, the feeling of being watched intensified. Ardi, who had been in the lead, suddenly stopped.
"Did you hear that?"
he asked, his voice trembling slightly. The others paused, straining their ears. At first, they heard nothing but the rustle of leaves. But then, faintly, a soft whisper seemed to drift through the air. It was incomprehensible, but it sounded like a voice calling their names. Siska, who had always been the most sensitive of the group, shivered.
"It's the spirits of the forest.
She whispered, her voice barely audible.
They're trying to warn us."
Demer laughed nervously.
"Come on, Siska, don't scare us. There's no such thing as ghosts."
But even Damer's laughter couldn't shake the eerie feeling that had settled over them. They pressed on, albeit more cautiously now. The sun began to set, casting long shadows across the forest floor. The path grew more uneven, and the trees seemed to close in around them. As nightfall descended, the forest seemed to transform. The once peaceful woods were now a labyrinth of dark, twisting paths. The air grew thick with humidity, and the sounds of distant howls or screams could be faintly heard in the distance. Something wasn't right. Suddenly, they came upon a clearing. In the center stood an old, decrepit wooden hut. It looked abandoned, its roof sagging and walls covered in moss. A chill ran down their spines as they approached. The door creaked open by itself, revealing only darkness inside. The friends exchanged nervous glances.
"I think we should turn back,"
Rina said, her voice shaky.
"This place is wrong."
But Indra, ever the leader, pushed ahead.
"We came this far. We should at least see what's inside."
Reluctantly, the others followed. As they stepped into the hut, the air grew even colder. The faint whispers grew louder, and a sense of dread filled the room. The walls were lined with strange carvings and symbols that none of them recognized. In the center of the room stood a large, old mirror, its surface cracked, yet still reflecting their faces in the dim light. But there was something off about the reflection. They couldn't put their finger on it, but their faces seemed distorted, as if they were not their own. Dammer, feeling uneasy, reached out to touch the mirror. As his fingers brushed against the surface, the room seemed to shift. The temperature dropped dramatically, and the door slammed shut behind them. The friends screamed in panic, but their voices were muffled, as if the air itself was thickening around them. Suddenly, the whispers turned into a loud, eerie chant. The mirror began to glow with an otherworldly light, and within its depths, figures began to emerge, figures of people with hollow eyes, their faces twisted in agony. The friends stumbled backward in horror, but they couldn't tear their eyes away. The figures in the mirror beckoned to them, their mouths moving in silent desperation. Rina, her face pale with fear, cried out,
We have to leave now.
but it was too late. A cold, invisible force grabbed hold of them, pulling them toward the mirror. They struggled, but it was as if the air itself had become a trap. The figures in the mirror began to stretch their hands out, reaching for the group. One by one, the friends were pulled into the glass, their screams echoing in the hut. The next morning, the villagers discovered the hut standing empty, the door wide open, and the air still. No sign of the 5 friends could be found. It was as if they had vanished without a trace. The locals knew what had happened. The forest had claimed them, just as it had claimed so many others before. To this day, those who dare venture into Alas Roban tell tales of the haunting whispers and the cursed mirror that traps the souls of the lost. They say that on stormy nights, you can still hear the voices of the 5 friends, their cries trapped within the forest's depths, forever calling out for help that will never come. Alas Roban remains a place of mystery and fear, a place where the living and the dead are forever intertwined. And to those who are brave or foolish enough to enter, it is a reminder that some forests are better left unexplored.